out here again, and I'm gonna weld a couple bolts on here. And I bought some horns from Harbor Freight, 25 bucks, so we'll be legal with the horns. So I'm gonna get these welded on. And also I'm running the fuel line. I paid 70 bucks for 25 foot of fuel line. And I got a fuel regulator here. Well, I got the welder fired up. I'm gonna weld that fuel regulator on this bar, and then start making the fuel line. Okay, I got the fuel regulator bracket welded on. We'll let that cool down for a minute, and then we'll probably trim this excess stuff off the top because it bolts from the bottom, and hit it with a grinder a little bit, and then let these cool. Bolt the fan or the horns on there, and then start plumbing lines. Alright, so I got those two bolts welded on there and painted, and I got the horns mounted on there. So we got horns, and then I got this bracket welded and it's cut off, and I touched the bar a little bit, and then so I got a fuel regulator to plumb to with my nickelized whatever line. And we'll get this all plumbed up now and then work our way back. Alright, so I'm going to flare it. Actually double flare it. I've already dropped a nut on it. It went way down there somewhere, but there's a nut on there. So we got this welded. The fuel line regulator, we'll set it at 5-6 pounds. And I'm going to go ahead and flare this now and get it mated up there. Alright, so I got that fuel line ran into the bottom of the regulator. Now I'm going to wrap it with that heat wrap and the fiberglass heat wrap over here by the exhaust, so we don't vapor lock that line at all. It's far enough away it probably would never happen, and I kind of tucked it behind this roll cage bar, but I'm gonna wrap it and it'll just keep it a little bit cooler. Alright, I got the fuel rail off. I just paid 80 bucks for this thing. It's brand new. Hopefully I don't destroy it. I'm gonna cut this end off and drill it with a 37/64 and tap it with 3/8 pipe tap and see if I can get a flare nut to go in there. I may destroy this thing, but I think it's going to work. And then I can have all hard line, no rubber line at all, and everything's solid mounted, so it's not like it moves around in there any. So wish me luck. Alright, I just took a drill and I've got it drilled down. Now I'm going to take this pipe tap and tap that, and then put the fitting I need in for the steel line to come to. Alright, I've tapped it and I've drilled it all the way down. I actually opened those tubes up. And I tapped it with that 3/8 MPT tap, and we're gonna put that fitting in there now and plumb line to it. Alright, I got the fuel rail back on. I got the solid line plumbed and mounted here. So it don't look too bad. So like I said, the motor's solid mounted, the transmission's solid mounted. This thing can flex a little bit, so no rubber hoses breaking or anything, so these things can wear. But alright, so this is all done. And I got the heat wrap. It's ran down there. We got a hard line. We've modified the line on the carburetor. We got the fuel regulator, pressure regulator in, so we can set it with we got the right gauge. We got a 15 psi gauge. We're only going to set it around 5. If you was racing it, you'd go around 7. Hollies can take 6.5, 7. But we don't want to float the power valves on the bull. We don't want to over pressurize the floats basically. If you ever pressurize the floats, it just basically floods it. So we're running around 5 psi, and we'll be able to set that here. And the pump I got, the 110 gallon per hour pump, says you don't have to regulate it, but we're not going to take a chance of just flooding it like that. So got the hard line in here. Got the hard line run all the way back. I'll show you that. So the fuel line's coming through here, and I got it wrapped with that fiberglass where it goes by the exhaust, and it runs. It's all inside the frame here. Oh, grab this light. So we got it run here inside the frame all the way back. I'm going to show you what I got going on in the back there. Alright, so that fuel line is coming from the carburetor, goes into here. And this is a fuel filter that's spring loaded, and it's got a metal filter, a washable filter. You can wash in and out. And for some reason that filter was to get plugged. It can overpressurize the spring in there and still make it home if you ever never do service to it. But we made this bracket, and I sheet metal screwed it to the frame. But these brackets right here are actually so this is 50 millimeter in diameter, and these are 51 millimeter light bar brackets for like an ATV. So I bought these, and then I've put rubber in the inside there so that it, and then clamped it down on the outside. So these brackets I bought, and they're actually for a light bar on an ATV, like I said. And then I bought that fuel filter, and I had to buy, fittings here to get to my 3/8 flare fittings. So 3/8 inch flare, a union AN10 to 3/8 inch, and then I've plumbed into the fuel pump, and then from the fuel pump it goes over there. Now that line on the other side is my vent, and it's ran all the way to the back of the car. So if it leaks or whatever, it's not throwing fuel out on the car as much. And I'll show you that up in the inside too. But this is part of what NHRA wants. So if the car flips upside down, then the tank's not like draining. So the fire crew comes up, the tank's not draining because the vent has been modified to the way they want it. So I got the fuel filter, fuel pump, fuel tank, and the vent line back here. I ordered a bunch of these hold downs. These are actually 1/2 inch, and I ordered 1/4 inch and 3/16, and I ordered 3/8, but the 3/8 hasn't got here. So all these fuel lines running down the car are going to end up getting, clamped around them and then sheet metal screwed, to hold them from moving. But this is my vent right here, and this is how they want you to do it. So if the car, this is all, what they tell me, if the car flips upside down, it takes longer for that fuel to, puddle out, and say you're knocked out asleep outside. It takes longer for that to knock you out, to make a big puddle on the ground and then catch on fire when the fire crew comes up. So this just, it's not going to stop it from happening, I don't think, but it'll, if it's flipped upside down, and this is taller than the tank when it's upside down, so that vent is under this. If you picture the car upside down, it's not going to leak very easy, right? Because everything's captured like this. But you got to have a vent in the tank with the way this fuel pump is and everything. I got to have a vented tank, and or it'll just suck dry. It'll cause a vacuum in there, and the tank, you won't be able to get any fuel out of it. So it'll just like, So anyway, I got a rubber grommet going through here on the. I need to pop that in there. It looks like. But I got a hole drilled with a rubber grommet right there, and I'll probably come in and either grab this with a wire tie or like when I get those mounts, I'll weld a tab out of there or whatever. But anyway, the fuel line's all plumbed and it's all hard line, and fingers crossed it don't leak. So I got the transcooler all plumbed. It comes out here. I put foam in places it may rub, but I got two 5/16 lines made up. They go up in the inside there, and then when it gets over here near that, I got fiberglass wrapped around it, heat wrap, and they go down and they're hooked to the transmission lines. I'll go down there and show you that. So all the transmission lines are hooked up. So we, you know, they go. If I get a light here, they go up and over and top that starter to stay away from them. You can see the heat wrap that I got on them there. So I got inches away, but both of them are hooked up, and you can see them run out there away from the control arms and then out to the transmission, so, or the cooler out there. So well, that's a big deal. We got all the plumbing done tonight, and I'm probably gonna call it. Probably done. It's like 4 or 5 in the morning now. I got to be at work at 7, so I got to be work at 8. I got to be up for work at 7. So, all right. Well, if you like this kind of stuff, check back in. Have a nice day. We got fuel lines now. We got transmission lines. We got horns. Getting closer.